So, dear students, now I would like to invite a first speaker to address this gathering, Dr. Michael Adams. Dr. Michael Adams is the president of Fairleigh Dickinson University, who is here on behalf of the International Association of University Presidents. We are very honored to have you address the event and look forward to collaborating with your association on our academic impact initiative and outreach programs to universities. Dr. Adams, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning. One of history's most interesting ironies is the fact that the Nobel Peace Prize was created by a Swedish munitions manufacturer widely credited with the invention of dynamite. Alfred Nobel was not optimistic about the prospects for peace. He once said, "I intend to leave after my death a large fund for the promotion of the peace idea, but I am skeptical to its results. The savants will write excellent volumes, there will be laureates, but wars will continue just the same until the force of circumstances renders them impossible." Unfortunately, Nobel's prediction was painfully accurate. So we seek the answer to the question, what circumstances might render wars impossible? Each year, the United Nations sets aside a special day to reflect on the goal of peace. As Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has noted, in many circumstances on a continual basis, peace is the United Nations' highest calling. And in a world that is loaded with multiple and diverse destructive capabilities, it is certainly humanity's greatest need. So while the pursuit of peace must drive the agenda of the United Nations, it frankly requires the concerted effort of all humanity, of all of us working together to build a world without war. But how do you develop the force of circumstances that render wars impossible? Perhaps we can look to the development of global economies. The theory goes that in global trade and interdependent markets, they make political compromise the preferred approach to disagreement. In other words, greater economic links should lead to fewer wars because disruptions to business would be too costly. Tom Friedman calls this the Golden Arches theory of conflict resolution. You remember that one? He suggests that countries with a McDonald's never invade another country also with a McDonald's. The truth of the theory is contested, but the basic premise is not altogether wrong. Interconnected financial interests have given nations great pause before lining up the tanks. But significant violence remains in the world today. Globalization has brought us closer together and in ways unimagined even a decade ago. But does it create circumstances that render wars impossible? Surely there is a developing sense of interdependence and responsibility for global challenges and causes. Many of us do understand we're all in this together. Yet we must still contend with centuries of conditioning in which people have been raised to think in terms of us against them, and them as anybody different from us. The great educator Maria Montessori once said that politics can keep us out of war, but lasting peace is the work of education. The role of education in a world marked by intolerance and lack of understanding of each other becomes vital. It was, in fact, the International Association of University Presidents, for which I speak today, that recommended in 1981 to the United Nations the creation of the International Day of Peace. Now, educators must come together across borders to develop global lessons and help prepare world citizens. Violence can only succeed when we dehumanize others. And that's much harder to do when we've learned about our neighbors both near and far. When we've made connections to them and we've developed an understanding of their views and that we discover our common humanity. As the powers of destruction expand, the need for such understanding grows even more critical. Albert Einstein was once asked, what was the scientific antidote to the atomic bomb? He replied, there is no scientific antidote to the atomic bomb. The only antidote is education. And so the force of circumstances isn't some external development that will someday happen to us. It's simply the development of our collective will, your collective will. Our will to learn about others, our will to build bridges to other countries and people rather than to construct barricades, our will to appreciate the perspective of others and to stand together across continents as world citizens, and our will to refuse violence in any form. It's indeed up to us, and it's indeed up to you. Our enemies are ignorance and intolerance, and in the face of these enemies, we must continue to believe in each other and the promise of peace. The International Association of University Presidents salutes the leadership of Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and embraces the goals of the United Nations. We must believe that education is the path to peace, and that our steps together along that path will build an irresistible force and a new world. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would now like to give our panelists an opportunity to answer briefly any of the questions that were asked during this session.
There is a very famous quote, and I hope you will remember it. For every complex problem, there is a simple solution, and it's usually wrong. You have been asked some very impressive questions. You have asked some very complex questions for which there really are no simple solutions. From the view of education, the solutions lie in you, and it's up here. The issues of disarmament are your attitudes of understanding. Conflict grows because people, it's us against them, and you have to reach up here and recognize that. My grandmother told me once that, Michael, you carry a suitcase, and in that suitcase is all the knowledge and all experiences you've ever had. And when you meet somebody else, they're carrying a suitcase too. But the stuff they've got in it is different than yours. What we need to do is come together and open our suitcases and figure out that by working together we can solve these problems. And in fact, the answers to these major problems are not here, they're there. And what you've got to do is have a new skill set, a new attitude, a new understanding, so you all can come together from different backgrounds and find solutions to the problems we haven't. Now, we're working at it. We're working at it really hard. But not one of these questions has a simple answer. You must remember, it's up here and you. We have great confidence in you because we're going to give you the world in a few years, and we're going to count on you to solve some problems that we haven't. But we're working at it.